अरे अनुराग,
Yeah, what's up?
ऑडिबल क्या?
Yeah. Audible.
ठीक है,
Uh,
you've gone.
what is the YouTube
YouTube.
link, man? How do I get the YouTube link?
You can't get a YouTube link. You have to go to our channel only.
Okay, but it's live streaming on YouTube. So,
Just
how do
go
we
to
do
our channel now. Just go to Team Ignition. Iska actually I can share the link.
on YouTube?
Anurag, it's live
What?
on YouTube. Let's not talk here.
Okay.
এতিয়া হেৰি হৈ গ'ল আৰু Maksud ke malah. Jo,
Hi all, thank you so much for joining. We'll just give everyone another couple of minutes to join, and then we can start maybe at 9, 2 or 3. I guess a lot of folks are still joining in, so we'll just give maybe another couple of minutes, right? 9:05 we'll start. Madhur, you there?
Yeah, Mother is there. Guys, also please try to keep your videos on. Let's try to keep this as interactive as possible.
I mean, it's optional, of course, but it'll be better if it's on. So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
thanks, guys. I guess we have enough people and everyone who probably want to join has joined. So maybe we can get started. Pranav, Madhur, are you guys there?
Yes, sure, Anurag, we'll start.
Sure.
So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the preparation strategy session by Ignition. Thank you all for joining and on Saturday late evening. I know you must be having a lot of plans, but uh, coming for this session really shows, how serious you are for the preparation as well as that you want to ace your interviews, and that's a really great thing to know. So, to start with, I will just give a brief introduction about myself. I am Madhur Surve. I am a core member of Team Ignition. Team Ignition is essentially the admissions committee of IIM Lucknow. And currently, I am in the first year of my MBA. So that is a brief about myself. To start with, hosting this session puts me 1 year back when I was exactly in your shoes, right? I had given my CAT, got shortlists, and there was a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of moments when I used to feel that there is no direction to my preparation, or that whether what I'm doing is the right thing or not. And at least in my personal experience over the last year, what I found that such mentorship programs, especially the Team Ignition program, was something which provided me as a guiding light. I was able to interact with people who have been there, done that, and understand from them how exactly we should proceed and whether I'm going in the right direction. And that is something that really helped me a lot during that period. And we hope to do the same thing for you all by being there for you, and helping you out in every way possible. So before we start the session formally, I would just like to give a brief overview of the Ignition program. What is it and how you can make most of it? So to start with, many of you would have got the call letters. A few call letters would be on the way. So whenever you get the call letter, there would be a Ignition form attached to that letter. You click on the link and you fill up the Google form with all the relevant details. That is essentially you sign up for being a part of our Ignition program. Post this, you will receive a VAT PI kit, which essentially covers a lot of your PI preparation, material on academic stuff, as well as how you have to deal with HR answers, how you have to go about with preparation. So that is basically a one-stop solution to all your interview preparation needs. Also, what we will do is once you fill up the form and we close the form around within 3 or 4 days, we will allocate you mentors, and mentors would be students from IIM Lucknow itself, first year students at IIM Lucknow. Just like me, they would have been in the position you are right now 1 year back. And you can make the most of it by asking them for mock interviews, understanding from them what IIM Lucknow is all about, our culture, and how things worked out for them last year. So that is something that you should really cash on, I believe. Apart from this, of course, it is also a great networking opportunity for you all. I'm sure like many of us are doing MBA. One of the reason would be you want to network with like-minded people and get to know people across different domains, across different specializations. So that is something that we look forward to, and this is a great opportunity for that as well. So that was a brief overview of the entire ignition flow, and rest assured, we as the admissions committee would stand with you all right from you have got the call letters till you get inducted formally into IIM Lucknow. So all the best to you all, and with this we'll start with the session. I would hand over the mic to Shreya, who would run you through how our today's preparation session would look like. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So we'll be starting with the session. So first of all, we'll be introducing the mentors who will be taking the session today. Then we'll have some personal interview preparation strategy coming from them. Tips for facing the interview on the D-Day, what you should do and should not do. The major question that everyone has in their mind, how to decide between different colleges, and of course we'll also tell you why IIM Lucknow. Another question that pops up in the mind of every aspirant is how to build your profile in whatever little time you have left from getting the call till you finally join college. And then next we'll share some personal interview experiences of the people attending this the ignition members attending this session. And finally we'll have a Q&A session where all of you can ask doubts in the chat, or we will start by calling out you people, and we'll try to resolve as many doubts as possible. So firstly, we have the following speakers in the session today. We have Anurag Arora, who is currently placed in Bain & Company. He did his summers in Deloitte, India. Prior to MBA, he had 3 years of work experience in ZS and KPMG, and he's a BTech from Manipal Institute of Technology. We have Asim Mehta, who's placed in Bain & Company and also did his summers in Bain & Company. He had 2.5 years of work experience in Edelweiss Financial Services, and he's a CFA and CFA level 3 and CA. We also have Pranav Mudli, who's placed in Investec IB. He did his summers in Spark Capital, and he had 2.5 years of work experience in GT, and he's also a chartered accountant. So from this, I'll hand over the mic to our speakers.
Thank you, Shreya. Congrats everyone for the call. Looking forward to an interactive session. So firstly, we're going to discuss what are the different aspects, the different pillars of a personal interview, right? To start with, it's the personality-based question. See, at the end of the day, guys, an interview is about whether you're a good fit for an organization, whether you're a good fit for a college. And IIM Lucknow interviews are no different, right? There's a certain culture that IIM Lucknow has. And using these interviews, they're essentially trying to understand whether you kind of fit the bill. Guys, please keep your audios off. Thank you. So to discuss a little specifics on the personality-based questions. So these are your HR questions, right? It could range from something like, tell me something about yourselves. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, right? To your entire journey, trying to understand how things are going. So essentially trying to understand you as a person. That is what personality-based questions are about. And this is a standard part of each and every interview. And you should be sure about this because you're sure that at least 2 to 3 questions are going to be asked. And I strongly believe that since you're going to start with these questions, if you get into that flow, it's going to be easy to crack that interview, and it kind of sets the tone for the interview, right? Moving on to academics, I think all of you know, right? IIM Lucknow is known for its academic rigor. The professors who's going to take your interview, they're going to be very strong that you have an academic inclination, which you're going to continue on to your IIM Lucknow journey as well. So they're going to test you very strongly on your academics. Now, what do you think they're going to test you, right? It's going to vary from person to person. If, for example, I'm a fresher, right? I'm going to be grilled a lot on what I read in my undergrad and even possibly what I read in my 12th. But if I'm someone with a work ex of 2 to 3 to 4 years, my 12th is not going to be relevant, but my undergrad, that's going to be pretty relevant, right? So whatever you think is relevant to you, do go through that at least at a high level. I understand that let's say you're an engineering grad, it's not going to be possible to read 25 subjects. Do pick up summary books to try to focus on, let's say, 2 to 3 subjects, because these interviews, you get to drive them. You get to choose which subjects to focus on and kind of drive it. So probably try to work well on 2 to 3 subjects while getting a high level understanding of all subjects. Moving on to work experience. What are they trying to test here? They're trying to test what you are claiming to be, whether it's true or not. Essentially, whatever work you have done and you've probably filled it out in some form, you should be able to justify it in the best possible manner, right? So essentially, your day-to-day work that you have done, you should be able to justify how you have gone about it, what was the impact, the entire flow, essentially. In addition to that, every industry that you're a part of, there is going to be some change or the other that's happening. To give an example of myself, I come from a tax background. In the tax background, things keep evolving on a day-to-day basis, right? So you're also expected to know what you've done at your work, what are the industry level changes that are happening on a regular basis. You need to be updated on that as well. This is again something that anyone within WorkX above 1.5 to 2 years will surely be grilled on, because they're going to also try to understand your quality of WorkX. Quantity alone doesn't matter, right? Moving on to general awareness. General awareness again is essentially your GK. 2 things here. You have your static GK and your dynamic GK. Ignition's WAT PI kit, which they'll be releasing soon. That's going to be a very useful part to cover this. Now, how do I keep updated with it? Most of the things are going to be on what's happening recently. Please read the news on a regular basis. Even if you're someone who hasn't seen a newspaper ever, do pick up the newspaper for at least the last couple of months. A very frequently asked question, for example, is what was discussed in the news today. And since your interviews may be scheduled, let's say early in the morning, people might not pick it up. So what am I trying to say? Be clear on your static GK around, how many states are there, all of those basic stuff. In addition to that, please do follow the news as well and try to be updated with what's happening around you, with a specific focus on your industry or a specific focus on your background. Moving on to abstract. These are your googly questions that you read in Quora, you read in Pagal Guy, and you think, oh my god, how am I going to crack these questions? But trust me guys, most of these questions are not even asked. And what are they trying to understand? They're not trying to understand how many squares can be made out of a diamond or whatever. Obviously that's not the test. The test is how are you approaching it. The test is if you're thrown a googly, how do you kind of defend yourself? Do you fall under pressure? Because those are the kind of traits that they're looking for. So it's going to be very difficult to prepare for this, but all you need to be aware of is it is possible that these questions will be asked, and I'm going to approach it in the best possible manner and not crack under pressure. That's about abstract. There are a couple of questions that we've included in the kit as well. You can go through that and practice. But in my view, again, these are just presence of mind things, and therefore preparing for this, I don't think is the right way to go about it. Finally, moving on to extracurricular. See guys, nobody wants a boring, a nerd to join, right? They want a fun person who they can have a conversation with. And IIM Lucknow, as much as it is exposed that it is an academic college, there are a lot of things beyond academics as well, and that is what they're trying to test through your extracurricular. What could this be? Let's say you play tennis, you play sports. They're just trying to test your passion here. Here, they're not going to take knowledge ki 1964 mein what cricket match, what happened. They're going to test about how passionate you are about cricket, whether you've been playing it recently, whether you're going to continue doing it later on, right? Those are the kind of tests that they're going to be putting. In addition to this, one generic thing that I'd like to say is a lot of people in various forums say that IIM Lucknow is a stress interview. I don't think this is entirely correct. There are a couple of interviews that are going to be stress interviews, and I think it is based on the profile as well, right? If they feel that they need to put someone under stress, let's say a fresher who might not have been exposed to so much stress, they might feel the need to put them under pressure. Again, not trying to generalize, but just an example, right? So even if that does happen, it's going to be very important to stay calm and kind of handle the process. So I'll pass it on to Asim now. Thank you so much.
Shah, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, thank you so much, Pranav, for that. Guys, one very important thing is you all will have a few weeks to few months to prepare for the interviews which I will be planned, and you all will be preparing for multiple colleges. What matters the most is, irrespective of the preparation, what matters the most is how you perform in the interview. So basically, in most of the colleges, it is a panel of 2 professors who ideally take an interview, And considering COVID, mostly things should happen online there as well. So ensure a few important things is that you are very well dressed. Considering that MBA is a college, but it is a source for formal education. It's post graduation, and they really expect you to be as professional as possible. So ensure that you are very well groomed. You're wearing a business formal. The tie is properly knotted. Along with that, let's just say that as things are going online, it is very important that you are like well secluded in a room. You don't have any disturbances. You ensure that your net is working, because it's just a window of those 15 minutes where someone has to judge you whether they want you in the college or not. So ensure that as much as efforts as you can take to make that those 15 minutes and make the most of those 15 minutes is what matters the most. Along with it, at times people face this problem that, okay, my net is not working, I just got dropped off, I joined late because of internet issues. I really recommend that you kind of have all forms of test checks possible, kind of like ensure that your internet speed is working. Along with that, you ensure that you are waiting in the meeting just 10-15 minutes before your interview. It's like the D-Day. It's just those 15 minutes which will ensure that which college you get in, and the score of an PI has a lot of weightage. Along with that, maybe this is on few of the infrastructure side. I would like to highly stress on the fact that these interviews might not be very stressful, but because of the fact that they matter a lot, we kind of tend to stress out, right? This is very common, and the people who are taking interviews are also professors who've been with the college for like more than 15 to 20 years, so they are well aware. They will, and they would be well aware of the kind of submission that you're making in the form, the answers, or the CV that you've uploaded. So having said those details, they are aware of your profile. They would have had some knowledge or some background of what kind of questions they want to ask. Just be really calm. No need to stress out. If you're feeling that, okay, if you're kind of stressing out, maybe take a minute's break. It is really human. You can kind of ensure that what you do in the like, 10-15 minutes matters the most, right? So even if you're stressing out, don't stress out. It is just human beings, and just the way you are giving an interview, everyone else would also be facing the same thing. I guess this would be it from like how to face the online interview. You can go to the next slide where Anurag will take you all through why IIM Lucknow makes sense for you.
I mean, yeah, basically the most important thing that comes to your mind, right? Which college to choose and how to choose it, right? We don't really have a slide for it, but I'll just tell you how I chose it and how maybe you should look at it, right? I mean, there would be a lot of different questions, a lot of different short lists that you will have, right, from a lot of colleges. So it's a factor, it's function of two ways. One is which college you choose and which college chooses you, right? So first of all, I mean, to think about it from one way, okay, if you are hell bent on some college, right, then you should work towards it and not look anywhere else. However, if you are indifferent among the top 4 or 5, I would say try to hedge your options and do not take any interview lightly, because in a uncertain scenario, you never know. Guys, can you please mute yourself? I think that's okay. So as I was saying, it's a function of two things, right? I mean, which college you want and which college wants you. So I would suggest that talk to a lot of people, talk to the seniors who are already in colleges, and try to build your, I would say, factors, right? That these are the 3-4 things that matter to me, and am I gonna get these out of the college, right? It could be placements, it could be experience, it could be and different things, right? I cannot comment on other colleges. However, I can tell you how Lucknow grooms you and how, I mean, what are the opportunities here, right? I mean, personally for me, Lucknow has been great and really, I would say, a life-changing experience, right? In terms of opportunity, let's say placements, academic rigor, whatever you want to do, there's a lot of opportunity on every front, right? There are n number of different clubs, CCAs. If you want to pursue, let's say, consult, there's a club for that. If you want to do marketing, there's a club for that. There are national level, I would say, competitions that happen that are organized and you take part in. If you talk about Asim and Pranav alone, they both have done, I think, 4 or 5 case comps and done a few live projects within those 2 years and interned with one of the top firms, right? So in those terms, Lucknow gives you that opportunity, right? And this would be the place. And to be very honest, your interview, as Pranav mentioned, right, your interview does make a big difference here. So 40% of it does come from the interview, right? And there's a big chance that even if you qualified with a lot of marks in a lot of colleges, the final interview does make the difference. So if you have some, let's say, some criteria and some college in mind that, either I go to maybe A, B, C, L, not beyond that, something like that, then that's a different thing. However, if you're indifferent, I would suggest just give your best to all colleges and then make a choice, right? However, work towards, understand how different colleges are, how different colleges are, right? Like Lucknow is all about rigor, right? They put you through a lot of things through the 2 years, but how you emerge after the 2 years really makes a difference, right? Makes you who you are. So interview would be slightly focused on that. C might demand something else, B might demand something else. So just try to talk to all the IIMs who have been there. Try to understand, let's say if you have some companies in mind, right? So see if those companies are going. So if I talk about the top firms, right, let's say maybe a Bain or BCG, a lot of places they would go and they'll offer the back end roles. However, when you see the logo in the front, it'll still be a Bain or a BCG, right? However, the role you are looking for might not be the one which is being offered. So the most important factor is to understand everything, right? Understand what's being offered, know the full information, and making the right choice, right? That's the most important, and that'll be about uh, choosing your college. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, Pranav, Wasim, one of you want to take this up?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, they guys, these are the resources we'll be providing, right? A very comprehensive VAT PI kit, and this is a very unique initiative. We've got the entire IIM Lucknow to work for you guys. We've gotten more than 7, 8 CCAs who have expertise across strategy, marketing, finance. All of these guys come in, and also we've collaborated experiences from folks across various batches of IIM Lucknow. So it's probably one of the most comprehensive kits that you'd want to read. And we're pretty confident that if you kind of are aware of what is inside this PI kit, it's going to help you a lot on the D-Day. The second is the mentor. I think Madhul already spoke about this, right? We'll be doing a one-to-one mapping, and we'll be considering a profile trying to give you as close a match as possible, and we'll be giving you a mentor for that purpose. Third is academic literature. This is something that I'm sure you guys yourselves have access to. Finally, regular reading of current affairs. So that's again something we discussed. Try to pick up a Business Standard or an Economic Times, whatever you're comfortable with, and ensure that you're up to date. Asim, want to pick this up?
Yes. Guys, just again to reiterate few important things. Don't worry at all. It is just going to be a normal interview like many others. Try to one important recommendation that I'll give is try to have as many mocks as possible, maybe with your friends, your work colleagues, maybe seniors or people whom you all already know are studying in any of these IIMs or any of the other colleges. So it is and generally when you are having an interview, it is not a Q&A session. It is more of a conversation. In those 15 minutes, the professor who is kind of taking the interview wants to know whether you're a good fit or not. And the fit will not just be, say, academically, you need to know all the answers perfectly. You need to have a brief idea of what work you've done, what you've studied. They just want to know, and the kind of response that you give, these being highly experienced professionals will kind of get a gauge a sense, okay, that, okay, culturally, this person is a team player. He's kind of focused. He's doing an MBA not just for a better placement, but to live he'll be adding a lot of value to the for college as well. So try to bring out, as well as now just one example I would like to give here is that maybe the basic question is tell me something about yourself. Maybe that is the first spot where you can just start the conversation. You can have like 6 to 7 things where you can really talk about, and you can just mention those in the introduction, and maybe the professor who's kind of taking the interview can pick up one of the points and then drive the conversation ahead. So these things, like even each and every answer or even every sentence of the of your introduction could also be well prepared for. So don't worry at all. It's just going to be a conversation and 15 minutes and you nail it.
Cool. So I think the next part is around building our profile. Guys, one thing is it's not enough just to kind of sit and crack the interview, right? You'd want to also do well in your B school. For that purpose, I think it's going to be important to build your profile till the time you join college. And you do have a lot of time for that. You're looking at Jan right now, and your tentative joining date in any college is going to be approximately around June. So you have a good 5-month period that you can capitalize. Now, what do we think you need to work on? Just look at what you've done, right? Take a piece of paper, take a Word doc, whatever you're comfortable with. Put it into different buckets. You're looking at academics, you're looking at work experience, you're looking at extracurriculars, you're looking at positions of responsibilities. Now, ideally, you need to have something good, something outstanding in each of these buckets. Now, let me take an example. Let's say academically, you feel you've not done that well. How can I kind of rectify it in this short period of time? Let's say if I'm a Fin guy, I try to pursue a CFA, right? Or there are a lot of courses offered on these MOOC platforms. I pick up one of those which are relevant and I try to do that well, right? That is something that I can do on an academic side. Let's go to the work X part. You feel you're a fresher. You feel you're worried that that's kind of going to work against you. What do I do there? Pick up an internship. There are a lot of internships available across all domains. Leverage Internshala, leverage whatever portal that you have an access to, get hold of one or two internships which are probably very relevant to an MBA domain and try to guys, please. Yeah, cool. So try to get an internship done and try to fill up that bucket. Coming to, let's say, EC and PR, let's say you used to play cricket, you left it off, try to pick it back up, try to do whatever that is possible in the short period of time. Another thing that companies do also look for is social initiatives. If you have done already in the past, build on it. If you have not done it, there are a lot of opportunities available across COVID, non-COVID platforms. Try to contribute towards that. So essentially, what am I trying to say in a nutshell? I'm trying to say, put your entire resume or your entire lifespan till now into 4 or 5 buckets. Try to see which bucket you feel is not outstanding and use whatever tools available in this 4 or 5 month period time to kind of add to it. Anurag, Asim, anyone else wants to add, please feel free.
I think one thing that I would like to add is definitely, I mean, there's enough time to build your profile, but that does not mean that, it is necessary to do, right? There are probably a lot of things that you have already done. And if you feel that, focusing. So, of course, building is something that you can do. However, knowing in depth what you have done could be of more importance, right? Let's say you are someone who has done very well academically, who's, very good with co-curriculars also, has a good work ex. Now, sometimes the question being asked is who is the CEO of your company, right? And people might not know. So looking at the very basic level, right? Being prepared, it's the aim is not to have a very, very, let's say, diversified or glorified resume or, that you have done everything great. It's more about, even if you have done something small, it's not just for the sake of it, right? You know it in and out. There was a good reason for it. What is driving you, right? It could be, of course, there's factors that are in front of you, right? I mean, what you have achieved till now, but there are also qualitative factors. Your personality does really matter, right? Being calm, smiling, being amicable on that particular day, on an interview day, that would also make a big difference. And this is true for entering the college. And think about it, right? Eventually, the aim is to get placed. So the interviewers, the companies also look for these particular skills only, right? Be it finance, marketing, consult, operations, it doesn't matter. Your personality fit has to be there, right? So focus on these things as well. Asim, anything to add?
Guys, just one last point. One very important thing that you should focus is the college or the interview wants to know the kind of person you are. They also ensure that you kind of make answers or give introduction of the things that you've actually done, right? At times we tend to say a few things that, okay, we feel will appear to be really very good. But if someone asks you another question on it or maybe goes deep down into it, they might find out that you're kind of like not done it exactly. So at times, if you don't know something, it is clearly fine to say no. It's completely okay. Don't freak out. And everyone's human, right? Everyone's here to learn. So no one knows everything. But the whole idea of an interview is just to understand the kind of person you are. So be confident, be prepared, and just give your best shot.
Cool. Great, Asim. Great, Anurag. Last thing is in terms of, guys, I know there are a lot of questions. This is the last part. So max 5 minutes and we'll move on to the questions. We understand we have a lot of questions and that's the focus of the session as well, right? Moving on to last sharing of our experiences. So I'll share my experience and then others, whoever wants to, can feel free to add. Essentially, my interview lasted for around 15 to 20 minutes. The major focus of my interview was on 2 parts. One was on the HR questions. Essentially, I have good level of work ex. I already also had a decent academic background. They were trying to grill me on why I'm really trying to do an MBA, trying to come to the essential floor of my thinking, trying to understand whether I'm just trying to follow a herd or trying to actually come with a logical reason. So they grilled a lot on the why MBA answer. the second part of my interview focused on technical / work-ex related questions. So I come from a pretty technical background revolving around mergers and acquisition stacks. There were a lot of updates that were happening around it. There was a Supreme Court ruling revolving around it. So they're trying to understand whether I actually know the work that I'm doing, along with what are these updates and whether I'm following the work that I'm doing. I wouldn't call it a stress interview, but I think they were pretty much nice to me. They gave me time to think and answer. I think it was a pretty good interview experience. Asim, Anurag, or others, please feel free to add.
I can share mine. Mine was, I think, all over the place. They did not focus on anything in particular, but trying to put me off in every aspect they could. So in the middle of the interview, they started, questioning me that, you're a very typical personality type A, trying to see how I react when criticized, right? So, I mean, I think at that point, the more important thing would have been just to stay calm and, I just laughed it out, right? Just to understand what type A is, what sort of things that are, while this conversation happening, they threw a math question at me, some complicated integration question, which I did not know the answer to. However, again, the important part was being calm about it, accepting, okay, something I did in maybe 11th or 12th, it's been 7, 8 years. So it can be anything random. However, to be very honest, I thought my interview wasn't great. However, when I did see the final scoring, I had one of the highest marks in interviews, right? So it's not about answering correctly or incorrectly, right? It's about how you handle the situation. So of course, if you answer correctly, that's an add-on, right? But trust me, there are plethora of questions you might not know the answer to anything. And if the professors want, they will put you in a spot when you don't know the answer. So in that point in time, it's important to just stay calm, right? And you might think that it went horribly for you. However, it might have been great, just you were able to stand your ground, right? You did not get shaken. So that was, I think mine was primarily focused on stress, being a stress interview, right? So Asim, Shreya, Anurag, you want to add something?
Yes, I'll go next. So guys, for me, like having almost 3 years of work ex, my interview is quite focused on work experience. And maybe after like say grilling me for like 10, 15 minutes, understanding of what kind of work I'd done, they just shifted to questions like why do you want to do an MBA? You're kind of doing well in a job. Why, what do you think? How will you add value to the college? How do you think college will add value to you? So they just wanted to know whether I'm really interested in pursuing an MBA and what are my goals that I wish to kind of achieve through MBA. So such things are maybe softer aspects, but also they do count, right? They just don't want someone who just come here to study, or they just want someone who's a holistic person and is involved in everything that happens around on campus. So kind of ensure that those things also are kind of covered. You just don't focus on acads or work experience. Softer aspects like extracurriculars are also equally appreciated. Does anyone else wants to go explaining the work interview?
Right.
Experience?
So for my interview, it was very different. Even I have work-ex, but my interview was entirely focused on current affairs. So they did not just ask me about different things, but they also wanted my opinion on it. And there were times when the professors did not really agree with my opinion, but they brought in their points, and it was a very healthy discussion where both the parties were actually having different points to put forward. So this reiterating current affairs is a very important part of your interview preparation. So during that time, I was asked about the budget or about demonetization, or you can be asked about a lot of things. So it's very important that you have an opinion on what are the current affairs, and you're very stuck on, not very stuck on your points, but you're actually capable of having a discussion on whatever your opinion is. Right. So guys, we'll be moving on to the Q&A part of the session. I think all of you have been waiting for this part since we started the session. So we've taken out some common questions that were asked based on the responses that we got. So I'll be reading out the questions, and hopefully one of the members of Team Ignition can keep answering them. So the first question is regarding the timeline for interviews. So the interviews are expected to start around mid of February. You will be receiving a mail listing the exact timing and date of the interview. So please please go through your emails and please be very regular in checking your emails. The second question that we got was that how to prepare for ABM. So Vidhi, are you there? Vidhi, can you take this question?
Yeah, sure, Shreya. So for the ABM related question, I would like to divide my answer into basically two parts. For people those who come from a non-agri background, and the second from the people who come from an agri background. So specifically, first of all, I would like to clarify that we have a common interview for ABM and PGP as well. There's no separate interview process conducted. So people who come from a non-agri background, the question is mostly centered around your profile. So for instance, I come from a commerce background and my interview was mainly around HR questions as well as my course related questions. So for instance, I was thrown questions on two questions on mathematics, and apart from that, it was mainly focused on my introduction and why do I want to do an MBA. So that was the basis, and apart as collected from the other batchmates experience as well from ABM. Mostly people who come from a non-agri background, their questions were mostly centered around their profile and it wasn't really agri centered. However, I would suggest you to follow up on the agri related news because that is something that might definitely be asked. For example, you can focus on the farms bill, the farmers protests, as that is like the current hot topic in agribusiness. And another question that I would like to focus you on is why do you want to pursue ABM if you come from a non-agri background specifically. So for those from an ABM background, definitely you should be very well prepared with your course. And again, mostly general knowledge is something which is the most important as collected from the other batchmates experience also. So mostly interviews were focused around the farmers bill and the protests last year. And you may, I mean, that's the current hot topic going on as well. So you may focus on that. Thank you.
Right. So the next question is, how much to study academics if you have work experience? So I think all of us had work experience. So would anyone take this up?
Yes, I can take it up. I think again, you depends, right? It should, if you let's say have a 6 months or 1 year work ex, then yeah, your academic background and let's say you're an engineer or a CA, right? Your academics would matter. However, if you have a 3 year, 4 year, or let's say 2 year and above work ex, your work experience does matter more, right? However, some parts of academics could be picked up. Let's say you're a civil engineer, right? So they might ask you maybe some basic level question, maybe just to put you off because, or just to test your knowledge. However, if you have 2 years and more work ex, I feel maybe brushing up a bit possible. However, I don't think you need to get deeper into the academics part of it if it's not related to your work ex, right? However, you can be prepared for a question, right? If you're an engineer, why are you working in XYZ stream? Maybe you switched from engineering, let's say mechanical engineering to IT, right? So that's something you should focus on more is what I would suggest. Anyone wants to add anything?
I think this is fine. We can move on. Shreya, next question, please.
Right. So the next question is how to prepare for current affairs. So probably one of you can just deep dive into how they prepared and what are the resources that they use. And maybe people can just refer to some of them along with the newspapers that they're already referring.
Asim, you want to take this up? Pranav?
Yeah, I'll take it up.
Yeah, sure.
See, essentially, like I mentioned, right, there are two kinds of current affairs. I mean, static GK and this as well. See, current affairs very simple, guys. Just read newspapers. This is all it is about. If you have a habit, good, just continue it. If not, pick up last 2 to 3 months, read the headline and focus on what is kind of relevant to you and try to do that. And honestly, it's okay if you don't know everything. There are thousands of news articles that are floating every day, and they understand it's not. Essentially what you need to cover is there is something very major that's happening at a global level, national level, or at your state level. That is something they'll expect you to know, but everything and anything and everything they're not going to require you to know, right? In addition to that, also, as I mentioned, the VAT kit is going to have some level of static GK, so probably you can refer to that and refer to 1 or 2 newspapers. I don't think you need to focus too much on the resources, but rather focus on reading the newspapers. Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, so one last question and then we can open the forum for questions. So does it make a difference if you have a gap year?
I'll
I
probably
think,
take that.
Anurag,
no.
you want to answer that? I think you are the best suited person, right?
Yeah, so I think that actually doesn't matter. So for me, my case, it was like I had a gap of 1 year, but at the same time, they will ask you that what were you doing at that time, and they want to know, understand that how were you utilizing that time, basically. So at that time, I was working on some uh, with some startups at the same time, and also for some social initiative. So I basically explained them that how I use that entire year to think and decide that I want to do MBA, and that's how I went for it. So that was something basic, but at the end of the day, it was more like they just want to understand that why you took that 1 year gap or 2 year gap which you have on your profile. So yeah.
I mean, if your question was more around what are your chances of conversion if you have a gap year, I think they're pretty much high. You have Anurag here who made it, right? Even after having a gap year. And yeah, I was working on, I think, 2 startups that time. So, I mean, it's about what you are doing in those years, right? It shouldn't be like, okay, I did not get into a college or I did not get a job, so I did not do anything. I mean, that's of course something that's, that shouldn't be the scenario. However, if you're utilizing that 1 year, maybe just to spend time on yourself, just to take a step back. I mean, it could be as simple as that I wanted to take a step back and understand what I want to do, right? Explore different things. That's perfectly fine.
Great. So I think we'll open the forum now. A lot of questions. So guys, essentially raise your hands. Try to keep your videos on when you ask your question. And yeah, we're going to just unmute and ask your question, right? Let's start with Krishna Khan.
Krishna Khan Mukta.
Krishna Khan Mukta, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Maybe not there.
I think
yeah, he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know about that one person told that suppose I'm coming from a technical background, okay? Now the thing is I have been working in an IT company. I'm just giving a case study so you will get the question more correctly on that. So they will ask me that why didn't you grow in your vertical itself? Like why you want to go for MBA? Though we will give them the answers of about how we are, like what are our goals. But still, if they want to drive that interview and they want to trap us, that how can we come through it or get out of it?
Okay. So Krishna, that's a very fair question, right? Like all of us have different work experience, and everyone has the option to grow in their firms. So maybe the question that they can ask you is that why do you want to do an MBA? So maybe like the answer, like MBA is not a specific role, right? MBA focuses or gives you opportunities into strategy, marketing, finance, GenMan, a number of operations. So MBA kind of opens up channels for a number of things if you're not very sure, or if you're kind of sure that okay, this is the kind of tech is something that I don't want to work in, right? So and you don't have, because having a tech work experience, you would kind of get opportunities or other jobs also which are similar to tech. And if you want to have a profile change, or at the same time if you feel that okay, your growth is pretty much stagnant in the current organization and you feel that MBA is something which will kind of help you boost your career, so there are a number of reasons that people do an MBA for. You can just find out your reason and you can clearly explain it to them. And I guess once you explain it to them, maybe they might try to understand it more deeper. They might ask you a question or two here. But if you're pretty much clear with your thought and rationale for doing an MBA, I guess it should not be an issue.
Okay. Thank you so much, Team Ignicon.
Hi, can I ask one question?
Going order wise. So Priya Chauhan, you want to go next?
Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to know that if someone is from humanities background, will they ask maths questions to them also in the interview?
I think yeah. Can you? Someone is unmuted again. Yeah. So basically, there's some noise, right? Or am I the only one?
Yeah, there is one.
Can someone mute Avinash? Avinash Kumar. Thanks. Yeah,
yeah, basically, you are from humanities background, right? See, basically, again, the interview questions are not limited to, let's say your stream and all. It depends on what the professors are trying to test. Like I gave you my example, right? They started commenting on my personality and everything. The aim is not to comment, right? They might just be saying any random thing to put you off, right? So they might just put a question to put you off. However, if you are confident enough to say, this is not my expertise, I'm probably not in a position to answer this right now. It's perfectly fine, right? It's about how you handle the situation. To answer your question, can this question come up? For sure. I mean, there's no limitation on any sort of question. A CA can be asked engineering, an engineer can be asked tax. However, it's completely fine to not know the answer, right? It's completely okay. You can say no, that I am not aware of this. That happens in company interviews as well. That happens in college interviews as well. Anything to add, Pranav, Wasim, Shreya?
No, I
Just
think it's a
an
good.
addition that
Yeah.
one thing I maybe add is that, see, maybe it's not the technical or the right answer that you're looking for. They just want to know that, okay, if we surprise you or put you in a stress situation, how do you react? And being from a humanities background, before the interview, they would have definitely gone through a profile. So maybe in most probabilities, they will ask you or try to understand things which you should be aware of or could be aware of. And if they try to bring out something out of the box, it's completely fine, as Anurag mentioned, to just refute a thing that, okay, I'm really not aware of this. Maybe I've missed it out, and I'll really get back to you after understanding it in detail.
Makes sense. We'll move to the next question. Sayantana Das, are you there? S1 underscore Sayantana Das.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I have mentioned in my career goal that I want to flourish my career in the consulting domain, mostly in a pharmaceutical or biotech industry, because I come from microbiology background. So and I'm a fresher. So can you please tell me what else can I do to boost up my resume or CV?
Yeah, I'll probably take that.
Yeah,
See, guys, essentially in consult, they're looking for two things. Okay. They're looking for whether you have a balanced CV across these 4 buckets that we spoke about earlier, and about whether you have spikes. Now, honestly, you can't come up with those spikes in 4-5 months and all. That's not possible. So what you can work on is, as I mentioned earlier, try to understand where you're weak in which bucket and try to strengthen that so that you have an overall balanced CV, right? Other than that, consult folks are also slightly inclined towards things like social initiatives, right? So probably trying to pick up something on the lines of an NGO or something that might be helpful as well.
Okay. And one more thing, like, do I mention any specialization in case they ask a question if I'm interested?
See, I don't think they'll ask for specialization.
You did mention, right, biotech, right? So that's
No, I
perfectly
think I
fine.
was talking about MBA specialization.
No,
Oh,
MBA
MBA.
specialization
No, that you
is like
choose in
a
second year.
financial consultancy or in operations, like in
Hey,
that
that's too
sense.
far away, dude. That's too far away.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Even
so I do
the
not
first years
mention
on this
anything.
call have not thought about it. So chill,
Yeah,
no.
don't worry about it right now. You will get enough platforms to discuss this once you convert.
Okay.
Shalini Chaudhary, you want to go next?
Yes.
Sure,
So I have
sure.
a couple of questions. The first question is, as you said, that having like 2 years and 2.5 years of work experience. But what if somebody has that much of work experience, but in different companies or maybe in different industries? So is it going to be a bad thing?
I mean, it can be good.
Would they judge like my stability?
I think Pranav, you're in a better position to answer this, right?
Yeah, I actually got disconnected on Iraq. I think you'll have to take it. Or can you repeat the
I'll
question?
take it up. No worries. So I personally have worked in KPMG, and then I was in Edelweiss across 3 years, right? And that does not make any difference. So there could be n number of reasons why someone quits a job, right? Like you're not a culture fit, or you're not able to adjust to the boss, or the work hours are really bad, XYZ. So they would like really not care into this, because that is kind of someone's personal life, right? They just want to know, and that kind of question is like never asked. I can assure you that.
One more question, last question, just one more question. So I just want to know, is there anybody from economics background, just in case? Who has done economics and bachelor's?
On this call, I don't.
On this call,
not this call, but a lot of people otherwise on this college. I mean, a lot of DU folks here, and they have economics.
Okay. So actually, I got admission already in my MA economics program with Delhi School of Economics. So now that's not kind of, I mean, it's quite a lot of academics, and I wanted a little bit of, something that helps me in my personality development, and I can work in different domain. So are they gonna like judge me that why didn't I make my mind before?
Shalini, I think this is a very, very specific question, right? So what we'll do is we'll try to keep this session more towards, I would say, the audience that's here. However, you can reach out to any one of us personally, and we can help you with this, right?
Okay, sure.
I mean, the whole team Ignition, the contact details are there on the Facebook group or anywhere, or you can follow the Insta page also. Right? We'll just try to keep it for the larger audience. Rohit, are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of members talked about, importance of current affairs in terms of the questions asked. And one of the members mentioned that their whole interview revolved around farm bills So I am someone who doesn't follow a lot of current affairs. So if you can give examples through form based, how deep they go into the interview. So that would be great. Yeah.
See, Rohit, I'll probably take that. See, again, as I mentioned earlier, right, farm bill was one of the major things at that point of time, right? And again, they're not going to expect you to go into the finer details of the bill and understand and all. They're going to probably try to understand why is there a protest happening, what was the thinking behind this bill, what is the way forward at a very high level. It's not going to be very in depth. How do I come at that opinion? You just read a couple of articles, there'll be a couple of opinions thrown around. You try to understand the facts, you try to understand which opinion makes sense to you and come to that conclusion, right? So you don't have to stress about it. Essentially, as I mentioned, there are going to be at every day 5 to 10 topics which are in the limelight. Ensure you know that simple state.
Guys, just one thing at a broader level for the interview perspective, right? Like you drive a lot of the interview, right? So just I would suggest once you are allocated your ignition mentors, ensure that you do a couple of mock interviews just to understand how this goes, because all these people would have gone at least multiple interviews for colleges or companies, right? So you will get a hint of how to drive the interview. If you're driving it towards your strengths, it'll work in your favor, right? Maybe you can go to the next question. Sanjay, 111 _ Sanjay. Yeah.
Yeah, my question is on like how important it is to have a productive hobby. Like if you don't have any productive hobby from the interview perspective, how bad it can be.
Pranav, Wasim.
Yeah, I'll take it. See, again, they're not expecting Sachin Tendulkar or a Vishwanathan Anand here. Yeah. That simple point is this, guys. At every stage in your life, at every year, have you been doing something productive or not? It doesn't have to be hobby specific, academic specific. Are you doing something with your time useful or not? Or are you being passing time? Simple. If at every year you have a justification for this, no issues at all. Nothing is going to happen. Only if you say, okay, I just was in my room sleeping for an entire year, that's where the problem is going to come in. If you've been doing something, hobbies or acads or work or whatever, it's fine. They don't expect you to multitask at some other level. That's not the expectation.
And I mean, you have 6 more months, right? Pick up something like chess, right? Pick up something like cooking, anything.
Chess is not easy, guys. Anurag,
I mean,
yeah.
just trying to say that pick up a hobby, right? It could be something as simple as you don't have to excel at it, but you're trying to learn, right? Like if you talk about a lot of people, they do a lot of things, but might not excel at this thing. It's just a different skill set, right? It's about how you drive it, but you have enough time if you want to pick something up. However, we'll move to the next question now. Purva, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here. All right. I have 2 questions. The first question is, did any of you get a question that went like, given that you have a call from a lot of IIMs, which one would you choose? And how did you guys answer that?
Okay, I think I had only one call, so
I was asked this question. So maybe I was asked this question. So maybe let's just say that like I had calls from all colleges except B, right? So this question you were asked to me is that how important is Lucknow to you, and what if like you get an admission into A or C, will you be converting it, taking it or not? So let's just say that for me personally, it was like, okay, A and C kind of have like it's an order, right? Most of us feel that okay, A, B, C have kind of a better league than Lucknow, and compared to L, Lucknow, Kozhikode, Indore, those also kind of follow. So my answer is pretty much clear that okay, I was kind of like Lucknow results is the second one to come out. Maybe Calcutta would follow, and Ahmedabad is something that I've not got into. So I was pretty much upfront about them that okay, if I convert Calcutta, I'll kind of consider it, and I gave some reasons as well, right? Like finance is something that I was kind of targeting. So you should have an answer, and whatever it is, yes or a no, they would obviously appreciate it. It is not like they will only take someone if you say, oh, I want to go to Lucknow, but be kind of honest to them, because they at some level also are kind of aware what kind of answer you would be giving, and reasons for the answer would be something that matters the most.
And trends don't lie. I mean, if you say that you choose L over maybe an ABC, there's a very, very, I mean, that might not come off well unless you have a good reason. So be prepared with the answer is what Asim is saying. And yeah, I mean, this time we had very, very good Fin lineup. We had one of the top firms coming, and yeah, you could use that as an answer, right? That I'm targeting Fin, and Lucknow had a very good Fin placement, and we did, right? So that could be your answer. And make sense?
Yeah, that was great. And my second question was the guesstimate questions, not the answers, but could we know what were the guesstimate questions you guys got?
I did not get any. However,
No.
I mean,
I don't think Lucknow asked too many guesstimate questions. I think ISB and all only focus on guesstimate questions. Lucknow
And I
very
think
less focus.
we can when you do get your ignition mentor, right? Trust me, after coming to college, companies will ask you guesstimates, so you'll prep enough. So whoever your ignition mentor is, you can understand how to go about doing a guesstimate, right? Almost all companies ask those, so all of us are aware of how to sort of break things down. It's a simple approach. We can discuss it in an interview maybe with your ignition mentor, or you can reach out to any one of us. We can guide you through it.
Yeah, good, guys. But just to clarify, guesstimates are so Anurag's focus, whatever you mentioned, is essentially on the post Lucknow part, joining part, right? As far as the Lucknow interview is concerned, from my experience, from talking to a lot of people, reading interview experiences, guesstimates are very rarely asked. So do not fret. Do not fret about it. If you do get time, try to run through the approach like Anurag mentioned. But
Yeah,
don't fret
makes
about
sense. I mean, yeah, don't put too much attention to it. Anyway, we'll move to the next question. Trisha Datta.
Yes, I had the question that I'm a fresher chemical engineer, and so like if they ask like, do they ask such questions that why should we select a fresher over someone with work experience, and how would you justify that? So like, what should be the answer?
Vidhi or any fresher in the house wants to take this.
Yeah, so I can take that up. So basically, if they ask you something like that, you can always justify that, why would a fresher, so you can give examples such as, being a fresher, you'll always be open to new perspectives and you're not biased because you don't have the bias of working in a corporate. So you'll always be able to get new ideas and fresher perspectives, which is definitely what management schools also look for. Uh, so that is one basic point. Other than that, you can definitely come up with something. You can kind of self introspect and say that why. Okay, you will bring in diversity to the management college, and every management school out there wants to have diversity. It's not like we only have work experienced people. We do have a lot of freshers as well. So that is something that you can definitely say.
And you can focus it on Lucknow specifically, right? Like Lucknow is all about rigor, and academics is a very, very important factor of it. So you're close to acads right now, right? And I'm pretty sure if you're fresher with the call, you will have very strong academics. So you can focus it there also. That it could be very, very specific to the college as well. Let's move. Pratyush Kamal.
Yeah, so hi team, thanks a lot for giving this opportunity. So I have two questions basically. So I have been doing running my own startup right from my third year, right? And the major reason for joining a B school is that because I want to learn the different fields of management and I want to pursue my own startup again. So I wanted to ask that what is the USP which IIM Lucknow provide in the terms of entrepreneurship culture? That is the first question. And second is that again, since I was pursuing my own startup during my college days, so I was not able to give ample amount of time in my studies, and I had a bad academic scores in my graduation, right? So how could we justify that? Could it be overshadowed through the achievements which I have got in my college through the entrepreneurship, other extracurricular achievements, etc.?
I think I can take that up. Definitely. I think Anurag Abujetia also had two startups. And, academics, of course, definitely suffers if you are focusing on other things. And that can definitely be compensated because you're doing something way, I would say, impactful, right? Way more impactful in terms of your time that you're devoting, right? Now, coming to your other question, what opportunity does IIM Lucknow have? So, first of all, a lot of professors here are working as angel investors also, right? So they do invest. Plus, we have a lot of electives focused on startups as well. There's a big, a lot of alums also do have their own startups. The Bombay Shaving Company is one example, right? So there is a lot of network you would get, right? And exposure also. Some professors do have, a lot of reach in the industry to connect you to the right, I would say, resources, to get you to the right resources. Also an incubation center where you can sort of pitch your idea and sort of build it further, right? We have, you can look it up on the website also or reach out to us. But we have some profs who focus extremely highly on basically investing in startups, right? So that will give you a lot of exposure on that front. Anything to add, Pranav, Asim?
So there is also an e-cell, right, which is an entrepreneurship cell. This is a team. If you have some ideas which you all wish to pursue, they kind of help you with that as well. That is the seniors, and they also actively look at startups in general to understand and invest in them.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you.
Yeah. Deepak Chaudhary, you want to go next?
Hello, yeah, hi. Thanks for this very wonderful session. I think a lot of question already answered, but my question is, from the specific point, like I have my experience in IT, and I have, this SOP prepared from the role like future goals related to product management role kind of thing. So I wanted to know from you guys, like, what should I prepare from that perspective? Also, I have some certification related to like certified ethical hacker and all those kind of thing. So in what depth should I go, like, for those, again, to brush up all this thing? And second thing is, I also mentioned IIM Lucknow community, so you can just if you can throw light upon that.
So two-way question, right? How to prepare for the interview in terms of Prodman, and second is what opportunities does IIM Lucknow have for Prodman? I think second question Pranav can take up, right? In terms of opportunities, we have a lot of companies, but Pranav can tell you better. In terms of preparing, again, it's similar to what we mentioned earlier, right? If it's Prodman that you're working on, then the professor might. So, I mean, let's say a marketing professor comes up, right? So you should know the marketing aspect of Prodman. Like when you're, let's say, looking at you're building, let's say, a website, right? So what aspects of marketing do you look into? If a professor is from operations background, then what is the operation aspect of it? So you should know more of a holistic view, right? And it is okay to not know a few things. However, it's about how you think about the whole problem, right? Like, let's say they give you a problem, they might give you a problem statement also that, okay, this is the problem being faced as a product manager, how would you fix it? So are you able to think in all aspects, right? How rich is your work X? I mean, are you doing it for the sake of it, or do you actually enjoy it, right? So things on those front. Does that answer your question, the first part of it?
Yeah, actually, I build my SOP, on those lines only, holistic view of, complete picture, or, complete picture of business use cases. But, I am saying the technical piece of it, but I don't have the, holistic view of it, because I don't have, expertise in other domains. So, like, again, if someone has marketing questions, so like, again, basic question will help. Okay, basic understanding of all those aspects will help, or should I go
No, I think basic understanding also now, because you might not have had exposure. So I think what you have is great. However, in terms of the opportunities, Pranav, you want to take that up in terms of
Yeah, sure. See, guys, if I have to talk about the recent cycle that completed, Prodman literally killed it. I think maximum job offers or something will be from Prodman. Not sure about the specifics, right? We had companies right from Microsoft to Google to all these gaming companies that have been coming. Hell, a lot of companies that came, a lot of opportunities. They took a lot of people. So I think if you are targeting Prodman, Lucknow is a really good college to consider. Especially the recent couple of years, we've been doing really good from a Prodman perspective.
Definitely a lot of opportunities, a lot of companies. So in terms of opportunities, don't worry about it.
Just one, follow-up question.
I think we'll have to move on because there are like 48 people. Really sorry.
Yeah,
and guys, I think going forward, we'll restrict it to one question per person because there are a lot of questions pending.
So just one thing, if IIM communities, can I refer somewhere? Like it is there?
Okay, I'll cover it shortly. Yeah, the CCA also called here is a very strong culture here, right? In terms of what you can refer to, just look up the IIM Lucknow website. There is this entire page on communities that is there. You can look it up. But again, I think it's too far-fetched right now, and I don't think it's too relevant at this point.
Yes. No, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak.
Lakshya Suri, you want to go next?
Yeah, just wanted to know, is there a direct model against which the profs are considering the final conversion for the admission? So while the interview list came, it was a direct formula like 40% weightage to your CAT score, 10% for let's say your CATs and so on. So from the final convert point of view, is there a direct formula
Lakshay.
basis? Yeah.
Lakshay, if you're asking in terms of how the interviewer will be scoring you, right? There might
I'm
be a
asking
metric.
from the final conversion.
Final thought is there. Final thought is there. You refer to the IIM Lucknow admission policy. There is a final formula that is there, in which PI there is a certain weightage, and for your your 10th, 12th work X, all of that, there is a certain weightage. So just refer to the IIM Lucknow admission policy. It will tell you in terms of post PI what is the weightage.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Dikshit, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry. So my question was related to specific to the SM program, like what exactly IIM Lucknow looks for in the candidate. So I have an experience of 3 years in the IT field. So I am a DevOps engineer basically.
Dikshit,
So
let me stop you there.
it
I'm sorry.
doesn't really relate to come again.
Dikshit, I'll just stop you there for a second. You mentioned PGP SM, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saurabh is there on the call. Saurabh, can you take this question?
Yeah, please go ahead, complete your question.
Yeah. So actually, what was I saying is that I have a 3-year experience in the. I am basically a DevOps engineer in the IT field. So like it's not much related to the sustainability management program. So like how do I back it up and what exactly IIM Lucknow looks for in a candidate for this specific program?
See, firstly, you need to understand that why do you want to get into a specialized program like PGP in sustainable management. Other than that, if you go out and do a bit of research, you'll realize that sustainability is going to be a requirement in every background and every field that is out there. So you don't have to back it up with your IT experience. All you need to do is just understand and I'm talking about the interview purposes only, that if you're able to make a connection between how your IT domain converts to PGP SM, that is all that will be required for the interview part.
So will I get other opportunities as well apart from the sustainability, like GenMan or anything like that?
We have continuously had placements in the general management role and sustainability as well.
Okay, fine. That's all. Thanks.
Cool. Meghna, do you want to go ahead? Meghna. Okay. Yeah, Meghna, go ahead. Yeah.
So my question is somewhat similar. I just want to know if the placements of ABM are restricted only to agribusiness or to only a few domains like marketing that I've read on the internet.
No, Meghna, just stop it there. It's open. ABM students can apply to all the companies that PGP can, so there's no differentiation.
In fact, to give an example, a friend of mine is in McKinsey, who's an ABM student. So in finance everywhere. So unless a company is very specific that they want only from PGP, you'll get access to all. Cool. Moving ahead, Riom, do you want to ask your question?
Sir, I also had a very similar question. I am personally interested in ABM, but my parents are a bit apprehensive about the placement opportunities about the ABM, whether they restrict less in number than the PGP or not. So if I could know a bit more about that, then.
Riom, just a repetition of the earlier question, I guess, but essentially you're going to get the same opportunities, right? You're going to be compared with similar bars. So you just have to come here, perform well. You're not going to be restricted in terms of applications majorly. Few companies might, majorly you'll get access to all opportunities. And as I've given an example, there are people who've made it across various domains in the top of the domain, the companies, right? So you will get access to it. Do not worry and do not make your ABM versus whatever decision based on placements or any fact that you hear about it.
And sir, if you allow me just one more question. So Anurag sir here told that he had only one IIM call when he joined here. And I am also in a bit similar situation. And personally, for me, I was a bit disappointed with that. So how can I keep my morale high till the interview so that it doesn't affect my interview here?
Well, my story is a little different. We can get into that later. I mean, I was considering primarily going out and between Lucknow, however I chose this. But I mean, it depends, right? If this is your best call and you're betting on it, just give it your 100%, right? I mean, just focus on the interview, stay calm, and you will get through. And it's okay. I mean, all you need is one call, right, to convert.
Yes. Sir.
So you have that. So I don't think you need anything else. Just stay confident and prepare well. You will make it through, right? That's what's important.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Nidhi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I recently had a mock interview wherein the professor asked me about my hobby, and then he asked me about some specific personality related to my hobby, some famous personality, and I wasn't really aware of it. So do they really scrutinize you based on your hobby? So because that made me rethink, like, do I really need to mention, because I'm not. I do those things because it makes me feel good and relax and stuff. Yeah.
Got it. See, the simple rule is if sports is your hobby, you can't be without knowing Sachin Tendulkar, right? if cricket is your hobby. So you would have to know the best of the best in the sport. That is something that I expect you to know. But in terms of who is like 20th, 30th, or whatever in the sport, I don't think they're expected to know. So if you're following a hobby, do try to ensure that you know what's happening in that particular sport or arts or whatever, and who's the top of the sports. I don't think they're expected to know more.
Okay. Okay. Because sports is something that you really follow, but I like to sketch. I like to draw a lot. So that's something you don't really follow in you. That really just got me thinking. Thank you. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you let's say you play tennis a lot, right? But you just like TT, then don't mention TT. Like mention the strengths, right? Don't drive the interview towards your something which you're not confident towards. Because as I mentioned earlier, you drive majority of it, right? So that'll be important.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Moving on, 20021496. Also, please rename yourself subsequently. Do you want to go ahead?
Hi, this is Ayush Sharma.
Okay.
I actually have had a question about SM, and the question is like we I saw in the page that Noida, this college is in we have this in Noida. Do we have this in Noida or is it in Lucknow itself?
I think there was
Saurabh,
voice that broke. Could you hear the question? I'm not sure.
Some question relating to SM.
Yeah, can you please repeat the
Hello,
question?
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My question is that I've heard that this specialized course is in Noida.
That's correct. It's in
That's
Noida,
correct.
Noida
Yes.
campus.
Okay, so we won't get the chance to be there in IIM Lucknow then.
No.
The program is completely run at the IIM Lucknow Noida campus, and that is where we also have the IPMX course. So the Noida campus acts as the corporate front of the Lucknow campus.
Okay, so the placement opportunities which the other PGP and PGP AVM gets, that opportunities this will SM will not get.
SM has a completely separate placement process.
Okay, it's a separate process from that, and we don't get to be the same exposure as the PGP guys.
I think
Exposure is not
those
very
are
specific.
two very, very different things, right? I mean, if you're saying similar or no, I mean, there are two different cells. Exposure could still be same, right? In terms of companies, of course, you can get more information, Saurav, but I would suggest that, of course, IIM Lucknow. Now, Lucknow campus is a totally different process, and SM is a Noida campus is a totally different process. However, the exposure in terms of companies and everything could still be similar, right? Saurav can provide more information on that, but if you're trying to compare the two, I'm not sure if what your comparison parameters are. However, the experience is different, can still I mean, the process is different. Experience can still be same, right? I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Athira Ajit, do you want to go ahead? Athira Ajit. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Athira.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about SM in particular. So, what are the international placement opportunities, if there is any?
I think it's about international
International placement,
offers, right?
Yeah, got it. See, to be very honest, the focus is on domestic placement. Having said that, there are a couple of international roles that do come, and the international packages are also very good. There are a couple that come in Fin, there are a couple that comes in Prodman and even in Genman. So again,
strategy as well, just to add to that.
Yes, correct, Anurag. So it does change from year to year. There are good level of international opportunities, but what I'd rather focus on are the domestic opportunities that you get, which are the best in India, which subsequently provide you with an international exposure. That's what I'd rather focus on rather than the international opportunities. Make sense?
Also, yeah, thank you. Also, one more question, actually.
I can't hear you.
Focused on that a lot of focused on a lot of extracurricular activities. So, I have more rather than one in specific. So, do I have to dig deep into each and every one, or can I just have a general information on all?
Okay,
for example, if I like sports, do I have to know who is the last Olympic medal winner in this particular event?
Got it. See, essentially, right, there'll be one primary sport that you have. Even if you play 5-6, you'll have one primary sport. So probably try to know a little more there while you have an understanding of the overview across. Make sense? Cool. I think we'll move on.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Arvind, do you want to go ahead?
Pranav, is it me? Arvind, Arvind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, can I just have a moment? I'm just recording the answer. Yeah. So basically, I resigned my job in by September end. So how do I defend the resignation of my job? That is my question. Like, if at all I'm getting asked about it.
I think that's very, very specific to you, right? Like, why exactly did you do it?
Oh, okay, no,
is what
but
I
there
would
are many
ask you.
people who would have done. No, they would. I mean, okay.
I mean, you would have a reason, right? It's about what your story is, right? If you had a relevant reason,
the honest reason is to prepare for CAT.
Pranav, yeah.
I don't think you can say that to be very honest.
Yeah, so I just want
competing with. See, essentially, what you could say is, I'm sure you didn't just prepare for CAT for 20 hours a day. I mean, at least I didn't, so I'm assuming you didn't. So if you probably did something else at the same time, try to say that you were doing that, you wanted time to think again. If you've probably not really done anything in that meanwhile, and probably how you wanted to take an entire shift, right? You could connect this to your why MBA answer in terms of how you wanted to rethink things. You weren't very happy with where you are. You wanted to rethink things and get to a new place, and how you use this time to think and also give a shot at that. I think it would have to be a combination of this and not just say, I want to study for CAT. I don't think that will work.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you a lot.
No problem. Abhishek, do you want to go ahead?
Abhishek Singh.
Yeah. Hi guys. So I have like 4.55 years of the work ex in social sector, and I do wish to pivot to finance sector. So do I put that in the conversation ever, or is that a high risk I'll be taking? That's first question. And second is, like, when the offers are made, or when hiring happens, or when internship hiring happens, does experience prior to joining the college matter?
I think the first question, that's a tricky one. However, if you have good reason, right? If you have good reason to back it up why you're doing it, you have a very rich experience. If you're saying in 4 years in social sector, you're switching to finance, you of course would have a reason, right? And if it's personalized, and if it makes sense, right? It does not have to be a perfect answer. It should be personalized, right? Why you're doing it. And if that makes sense to you, and if you're able to convince the interviewer, which, trust me, if it's a genuine answer, you will be able to. That should, I would say, definitely bring that in, right? It'll be a way to be remembered, right? So that's good. Second thing, does your prior work ex matter? Same, Pranav, I think you guys would be in a better position since finance.
Yes, I guess prior, so wait, let's just say when you join college, right? Everyone has some of the other different backgrounds. Some are freshers, some have 5 years, some have 3 years. Everyone comes from a different background, and once you join college, in the first few months, you have placements for summers. So at that time, a lot of focus is kind of given to the experience that you've done prior to MBA, be it your undergraduation, your 10th, 12th marks, as well as the work experience, your responsibilities that you've taken, extracurriculars. So having work ex could be of obviously like kind of an added advantage to you, and I don't think there's anything to worry about that.
All right, thanks.
Abhishek.
Ishan.
Hi, good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah, Ishan. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'm from an arts background. I did my bachelor's and master's in arts. And I would like to know that I don't know the specialization that I want to go in after an MBA or during an MBA. So how does that affect my chances of conversion, or should I be knowing about little about all domains? How do I go about this? And another subset of the question is that I've completed my master. So does that affect my chances? Why do you want to study further? Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Two-way. First part is your specialization, right? Not really. First year is common for all. You do learn bit of everything. You'd learn finance 101, operations 101, strategy 101, everything, right? It can be as simple as, I want to explore, and at the end, so you choose your specialization at the end of first year by choosing the subjects for second year, right? So the answer can be as simple as, I want to explore, see what I like. You can maybe say I do, have interest in strategy, marketing, ops for now, but I would like to see as I go which I like more. Second thing, does having a master's degree hamper your chances anyway? I personally don't think so. If anything, it improves. I think we have a few people who have done BCom, MCom, CFA, CA, and then here I think Asim is one example here. We have another one. I mean, n number of degrees still here, and yeah, I think all it does is makes you unique, right? We also have people BTech, MTech, MBA, then second MBA here. So I think all it does is improve, right? Because the richer the profile, the more you know, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Anurag. Just one thing: should I know about the surface level knowledge of all specializations before I go into an interview, or not knowing is fine?
Not knowing is fine, I would say. It's okay. I mean, it's completely fine, right?
Thank you so much, Anurag.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ayush Bhel.
Yeah, hello, hi team. So actually, I received a call for the ABM program. So actually, at this point, I'm not worried about the placements. I wanted to know about the curriculum. So how does the ABM curriculum differ from the PGP? And yeah, so finally, because it will affect the placements. Yeah.
Sure. Vidhi, you want to take this? I think
I'll take that up. So in the first year, I guess all the whole course for PGP and PGP ABM is kind of very similar. ABM has one extra subject in each term.
Couple of extra subjects, yeah.
In the first year, what is the distinction is in the second year when we have to kind of.
Yeah, should I take it up?
Asim, let Asim finish, then you can add if he misses anything.
Yes. So in the second year, right, everyone can choose a specialization which they want, right? At that time, ABM has a set of subjects which they have to choose from. So I guess academically in the first year, you will just be learning a little more, and in the second year is when kind of you will actually have to make a decision.
Okay. Thanks, Asim.
For ABM, the second year is, I think, more or less defined. Vidhi, am I correct here?
Yes, Anurag. So the first year is exactly the same. You'll just be having one different subject in every semester for the first year. Otherwise, all the subjects will remain same as the PGP course itself. The second year, we have separate electives for which the details you can find on the IIM Lucknow website, or you can personally reach out later on. Coming to the placements, as Anurag mentioned earlier, there is practically there's no difference at all. Like I had the same doubts a year back, so I can understand your situation. But I mean, I've seen the process and it's completely similar as the PGP placements.
Yeah, and Vidhi had all shortlists also from all the top firms. So I think that would answer your question better. Sandeep Singh, you want to go next? Sandeep, are you there? Okay, Anurag Kumar.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm sorry. Extremely
Okay,
sorry.
Sandeep, go ahead. Sandeep.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is that I'm a PWD, person with disability. And my question is quite generic that I came to know that IIM Lucknow is well-known college for the pressure. Pressure and all. So is there any what we special things for the PWD?
Yeah, I think there is definitely a PWD committee, right, which does take care and ensure that all the, if there's any assistance that needed, that's taken care of, right, as well as, of course, any other, if there are any requirements, special requirements that are there, those are also provided, as well as in terms of exams, all the necessary, maybe extra time, scribe, whatever is required. IIM Lucknow ensures that the people, differently able people, feel comfortable, and all their needs are catered to, right? Even if you need someone to come live with you to make you comfortable, that's also an option. So nothing to worry about on that front.
On the placement, we also means
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I can give you an example. We had one candidate, a differently able candidate, who even got into likes of Goldman Sachs, right? And in summers and grabbed a PPO. We have people going into likes of Coca-Cola as well. So there's no restriction in terms of, I would say, opportunities, right? In fact, a lot of companies are looking to diversify and give everyone an opportunity. So on that front, Pranav, are you saying something? You're on mute.
No, nothing.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about that. In fact, I think this trend is increasing over time. So this time also we had 100% placements, and the differently able people also did really well. And of course, IIM Lucknow as students also ensure that anything that's needed is given from, let's say, this time it was the seniors placement, right? So juniors were helping the whole community in general and taking extra care if there's any sort of assistance required. Also, the PlaceCom also takes care of the people, just ensuring that if there's any assistance required, that's already planned for, so that issues don't come at the last moment, right? Anyone wants to add anything, please do. Asin, Pranav, Shreya, Anurag, Tyagesh.
See, I mean, I've seen the placement process pretty close, and yeah, PW candidates honestly they get a lot of support, guys. Right from the placement committee to the people who are supporting them, right? They do get a lot of support and offers, like you mentioned. We've seen the likes of Goldman Sachs. Someone very few days back got an offer from the Aditya Birla Group. So if you ask, help will be provided specifically for PW candidates. You just have to ask. As simple as that. So nothing to worry at all.
And even in exams, there's an option if you are having, let's say, an issue with writing, there's an option of oral exams also, depending on case by case if you are being restricted, right? I hope that answers your question. If there's anything else, you can definitely reach out, right? Anurag Kumar, you want to go next?
Hi team, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
So I've been shortlisted for both the PGP and the SM program. So will there be some specific set of question related to SM, or will there be a common set of question asked for both the program?
Are you saying if there'll be one interview or multiple interviews, right?
No, not the multiple interview thing. Will there be specific question related to SMRs, sustainability management?
Saurabh, you want to take that up?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
go.
if you're
Yeah, go ahead.
if you applied for SM, then you should expect a couple of questions. Not necessarily that they'll be asking you questions on SM, but yes, it's a common interview, and the interview might go in any which direction.
Okay, thank you.
So guys, we'll be just having a last couple of questions and then we'll be closing the sessions. So you can refer to the VAT PI kit provided by Team Ignition, and you'll also be allocated a mentor. So you can ask your specific questions to them and have any conversation, like any number of questions from them as much as you.
We'll just take the last two questions, I guess.
Yeah, last couple of questions. So
Varsha, you want to go next? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So hi guys. So I'm from fashion technology background. So I want to know if there's anybody from that background in the college. And also I wanted to know if they would ask in-depth question on my UG academics, because I don't know how much they will be aware of what is they will be, but I don't know. I'm not really sure about.
I got your question. I think, first of all, I'm not sure if there's anyone from fashion tech. As far as I know, there isn't. However, diversity is always welcome. We have a lawyer in our batch, right? And of course, trust me, the professors wouldn't know much law, whoever is interviewing, right? But the person made it through. And
Yeah, but my question, so I wanted to know if I have to concentrate more on academics, or I like, if I'm sure that they're not going to go in depth in my academics, so probably I should concentrate on other areas. So I want to know, where should I give my weightage?
Yeah, makes sense. I would suggest, as I mentioned earlier, right, you drive a lot of your interview. So of course, when you are from a fashion tech, which is definitely new to most of us, you can keep the interview focused on that, and it'll play on your strengths. Right? If you're leaving cues on that front, that let's say you have done XYZ things in fashion tech, right? This is what you achieve. Of course, even if you're talking to me, I'll be intrigued and I would like to know more. And if you're able to defend it and keep me interested, talking about, let's say, high-tech things in fashion at a layman level so that I also understand, that'll be your strength. Of course, I'm not saying that it can't be turned the other way, but trust me, you are driving 80% of the interview. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to keep the professor interested, and trust me, they're more than, it's not like they come in the aim of the whole committee is to take people in and not reject, right? So when I'm talking to, as a professor, if I'm talking to you, I want to take you in. I want to see how interesting you are. I want to see your communication. I want to see what your drive is. If you're able to stick to that and, convince me while, getting your, let's say, fashion achievements into picture, more than, I think, and would be more than welcome to, more than happy to welcome you, right? Pranav, Asim, anything to add?
I'll just add one thing here. Varsha, what I think the focus of your interview could be is in terms of your motivation, right? That shift from fashion technology to MBA is not very common. So you need to have a very, very strong reasoning around why MBA, and you should be able to back it up. It's not going to be just a why MBA and leave it at that. They're going to dig deep on each and every reason, and you need to back it up, right? And actually, I'd say they'd probably prefer you because diversity is something that everyone is looking for, right? Every college wants to boast of diversity. The placement committee would want to say, we have fashion technology folks here and attract, companies with a similar background. So I think you'd be at an advantage, but the focus of your interview should be on justifying the YMBA.
Okay. And one more thing, actually, in the composites for calculation, my undergrad was not in the list. I mean, I won't get that 5 points for my,
Are you sure?
academic diversity. I'm really sure. Even in my, so when they sent the PI shortlist, I mean, the whatever calls, there was a calculation, and there I got a 0 for academic diversity. And in the list also, where they have mentioned to whatever whatever courses, the UG courses they are giving academic diversity, mine was not mentioned. Probably, I think, yeah. So more than they're
Sorry,
not
go ahead.
actually wanting a fashion tech student, I think it was a clerical error that they
No,
missed
even I think
missed
it's some
out on
kind of
it.
a clerical error.
Yeah.
Do reach out to the admissions office, right? Honestly, we're not the right folks to answer this.
Yeah.
Because fashion technology, by any way you look at it, requires academic diversity points. So do reach out to admission office, and I'm sure they'll probably change.
Yeah,
it.
just mail them. If you're not able to, then just reach out to Team Ignition, right? Madhur can help you out in reaching to them. But I would say try reaching out to them on your own first. If that doesn't work out, only then go by this route. Govind Kumar Jindal.
Last question, guys, and then we'll
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, I have been working. Hello, team. I have been working in my father's business for nearly 4 years. I just want to know that is PGP better or executive PGP better for me?
I think that will be very specific to what you're looking for, right? If you are looking to get into corporate and work there, then maybe this is better. Executive MBA is again for people who have experienced folks of come from corporate. So I'm not sure. It's about what you're looking for, right? What your
No,
goals are. Maybe
actually,
that's a very, very
actually, in my SOP, I have filled that I want to grow my father's business after doing MBA. So, is it okay for doing PGP?
I'm not quite sure. Asim, you wanna
So
take that?
one thing that you can, so basically what MBA like imparts is that various segments of business like marketing, operations, finance, strategy. It imparts education on all these fronts, right? So people, it not necessarily just take a job after MBA. A lot of people who even have startups or even who go back to family businesses. So I don't think like doing an MBA will obviously add value to you, and having the aspiration to go back to family business should not be a hindrance. Having said that, executive MBA is more of a senior level. Obviously, like, most of us are not like, I guess I don't think anyone is aware of how exactly executive MBA plans out. But the general idea that we have is that the average age is like after 5-6 years of work ex in corporates is when people usually decide to do an executive MBA, or maybe after one MBA and few years of work ex is when they do an executive MBA. So if you feel that this is the kind of age that you really want to study and get a, like an MBA will definitely add value to you. You don't have to like worry about that.
Okay, thank you. That
Great.
was my only question.
Yeah, so I
Yes,
think
sir.
that close, guys. Thank you so much for joining. This was a really good evening for us. We'd like to thank Ignition 37. So they are your PGP1 guys. They're going to guide you throughout, the entire joining process till you come onto campus. So they took this entire initiative, and all we did is just free ride on their efforts and come here. So thank you so much, Ignition 37. We'll leave it to you guys to conclude. Thank you.
So thank you so much, guys. I hope this was useful to all of you. And we would also want to thank Anurag, Pranav, and Asim for giving us their time. I know you guys are really busy. And guys, I hope please go through the VAT PI kit very, very carefully. And please reach out to your mentors as soon as you get the list. So we'll be sending out the mentors as soon as possible. And also the VAT PI kits. So the mentorship form has been sent to you along with the call letters. So please fill the form, and you'll be receiving the mentor details. And all the best, guys.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining in.